Good evening, all, and welcome to the Tactical Devils. I'm your host, Jarvis Cocker, and I'm live from Greece on holiday. With me tonight, I have Stu Woolley, and Darius Bathheim is coming on the show as a guest. Oh, I got some feedback here. Give me 2 seconds. Always with the bloopers. I hope everybody's well. We just seen PSG win on penalties against the Butlers of Spurs 4-3 on penalty shootout, 2-2 after full time. I didn't see the game myself, but I hope it was a good game for all of you to see. Tonight we're going to talk about Rasmus Højlund. Is Man United trying to force him out? Or is Man United willing to just try to get a deal and wait for Højlund's answer? We will see, because AC Milan wants Højlund. There's talk about the 6 million euros fee for Højlund and a 45 million buyout clause, no option to buy. And we will also talk about Garnacho. It's all about a standstill. Same, Chelsea want to pay 30 million. Man United wants 50 million. And Garnacho is apparently willing to sit out the next 6 to 12 months. We're going to talk about the child Garnacho is. We will talk about Baleba, 120 million euros. Are Man United in a place where we can spend that kind of money? We will talk about Donnarumma to City. Sancho rejects another club, Besiktas, and Anthony's price has been slashed down from 50 million to 30 million. Asking price for Man United. We are trying to strike a deal. So guys, girls, Stu and I, and Bathheim Darius, and hopefully Johnny Kermode will come on later, and we will give you another Tactical Devils show. So guys, while you wait, smash a like and subscribe if this is your first time on the Tactical Devils. We will be back after the intro, so we will see you in a sec. And by the way, that was Stu sneezing.
Yes.
Yes, everybody, welcome to the Tactical Devils. Yes, and Stu, how are you feeling? Are you feeling better? We didn't do a show on Monday night, but have you recovered?
Fighting fit, pal. Fighting fit. I'm getting there, guys. I'm getting there. Thank you, by the way, for all the messages. Very, very kind of you. I just, Monday I was just dead to the world. I'm just kind of just getting my voice back. Didn't get to play any footy for a couple of days, so I'm like a caged lion as well. But good to see Tottenham bottling it. Big, also Cesco Kone, well, Jarvis will talk about it later on, suffered quite a nasty injury. So
Yes.
we've got a Tactical Devils. Wishes him a speedy recovery, because we know Manchester United watch this channel on a regular basis. We're by far their favourite MUFC channel, and rightly so. Evening to everybody. Devilish Tacticos, Catherine No Nonsense McDade, straight in there with a couple of jabs. Love it. But I'm good. I'm getting there.
Very good. Nice to hear. And we have Darius Bathheim on the show tonight. How are you doing, pal?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm delighted to be here to take part in this wonderful community that you've built, and I'm excited but tired.
Yeah, I know it's late, but we're not going to do a Scorsese as usual, so don't be afraid. We're not going to do 3 hours as we do sometimes, but tonight we're going to cover some transfer updates, and of course we will talk about tactics. We will talk about Amorim. We will talk about the 3-4-3, the players. I want to have a small discussion about Ahmad and Mbeumo. We mentioned that we're going to try to see how they fit together as a pairing on the right side. But first of all, let's cover the latest news. Oh, first of all, I want to say hi to everybody who have tuned in, who's in the chat. Catherine McDade is here. Big up, Catherine. We have John Edmund. Big up, John Edmund. Labu 23 PS coming in. Spurs 2-0 up, now 2-2. Yes, and PSG are the champions again. Bernard Kurtu is, let me hope Stu is better now, because I'm worried they may postpone the show again because Stu is not fine. Yes, Stu is not doing well, but he's a trooper, always giving everything for the Tactical Devils and you guys. So give it up for Stu.
Thank you.
Yes. We have, who else? Johnny Kemode is in the house. Big up, evening all. Johnny, if you want a link, let us know and we will send you the link and you can come on the panel. Who else? Danny B is in the house, coming in and say hit that like button on the way in. Big up, Danny B. I hope you're well. And we have OB, or J United, as he was formerly known as, 6-month member to this legendary channel.
Superb. Thank you, Jay. Legend.
Jay, OB, Kobe, Obi-Wan Kenobi, whatever you want to be called.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Beautiful name. Love it.
Obi-Wan.
DJ Superfly Guy, big up DJ. Let me just scroll. I am Titanium, big up lads, good to see you. Who else? Sebastian is here. Everybody's tuning in now. Great to see you. Thank you everybody for tuning out. Faith T is coming in. Big up Faith. Dex T is coming in. DC. Georgie Ivano coming in and says Spurs. Yes. I thought we would improve under Thomas Frank, but still they can't break the curse of losing, at least against every other team than Man United.
Yes. That is true, yes.
And the guy, I can't pronounce his name, but you do. You have a
good old, I just call him Hawk. He's brilliant. He's absolutely great. Yeah. Ciao, says Hawk. Ciao.
Yes. And we have Gamer TV coming in. Big up, guys. It's only Tottenham. Yes. We said it before the Europa League final, and look where it got us. Let's get into the show. We will try to cover everything as quick as we can. And first of all, I want to cover the latest news, and that's on Cesco Kune. And apparently he's had a bad injury. I don't know, Stu, do you have any details on the latest on Cesco Kune?
We don't. All that we know is that there was a match against Tamworth this evening, which was suspended. Kind of looked like he got a facial injury. How bad that facial injury is, we're not quite sure. We do. There's an update from Sebastian, actually, which is brilliant and on time. Cesco Kune is conscious and in stable condition. He was taken to hospital as a precaution to undergo further tests. Usually, if you go down on the face, it's either a broken cheekbone, potentially jaw or nose, or it could even be eye socket. Depends on where he was taken, whether it was an elbow, could have been a head. Difficult to say, but facial injuries, they're never good. And we wish him a speedy recovery. Fantastic player.
Okay.
So let's hope. He was down 20 minutes. Oh, that's bad news.
That's really sad news. We can't afford any player getting injured, and especially if it's a bad one. And facial injuries, we've seen players been out for a long, long time, and usually they come back playing with one of those sorrow masks.
That's it, the old Zorro mask. Yes.
Yeah. So I am taking him coming in and say he was down 20 minutes. He was watching the game. So yeah. And Danny B also come in and say I was watching, but the camera was so far away I couldn't tell how it went down at the first. Yeah.
That's probably good.
Yeah. And Jarle Malmin comes in with the good news about Kune is he is communicating at the hospital, so at least he's conscious and doing better. So that's good news, But let's talk a little about Cesco Kune.
Jarvis, you got his ground in at Tipton Town. That's what happens. You go down, You get knocked out for 5 minutes, you get back up. That's what happens at Tipton.
Have you been knocked out, Stu?
Have I been knocked out? I have once. Yeah, I did. It was back in a tournament actually at the Cliff back in '94. We're in the semi-final.
United's old ground, like old training ground.
Yeah, we were invited. My team was
Did you
invited.
just join in a training session and someone punched you?
No, we were actually invited to an international football festival that Manchester United put on, and I was playing centre midfield at the time in '94, so I was 24, and I had the Craig Johnson Predators, the very first Predators, and it was a real tight game. It was against the German side. It was a real tight game, and at that particular time, I had a habit of saying to Jarvis, didn't I, Jarvis? I had a habit of noticing when defenders were dallying on the ball and potential mistake. So I looked at their left back and he just didn't know what to do with it. So I just darted straight, and by luck, the left back bobbled the pass back to the goalkeeper. I just managed to get my toe to the ball, and the goalkeeper absolutely clotheslined me. And I remember coming round, and my mates were, the lads were all over me and stuff. And so I think I'd maybe at 10 seconds or whatever, I might have been knocked out or, potentially unconscious. But the referee said to me, the funny thing was, my tongue, by the way, Darius, was like hanging out. I was dribbling, apparently, eyes were fucking all over the place. But the ref said, everybody was that concerned about you. Nobody stopped to think to actually, stop
like
the ball.
Whistle.
Yeah, because the ball apparently took for fucking ever. Because I just got the faintest touch of my foot to crawl in. It literally went that far over the line or something like that. And everybody was watching me spark out. Nobody even considered to stop the ball. So anyway, we ended up winning the semi 1-0. Got battered 4-0 in the final, but I didn't play. But so I'm not sure if I was knocked out, but I think so. That's the closest anyway. It was great fun. Great tournament. Great tournament.
Oh, that was on mute. Well, you didn't win it, so you're not happy. I suspect.
Well, if I played in the final, I suspect we would have won. That's my bag. But no, it was a great experience, though, Darius. I have to say, great experience. The Egyptian national under-18s were superb. Absolutely brilliant. Even back then.
Was Mido playing?
You what? Sorry.
Was Mido playing? He'd have been around that age in '94.
Yeah, possibly. We never played the Egyptian under-18s, luckily.
Don't tell Mr. Pyramids.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But there's a gifted membership.
Give me 2 seconds. I'm just retweeting the show that we are live, telling our audience that we are going live. And by the way, there are a chance for you guys to help us out, help the channel, and press the link and retweet to the rest of the world that we are live, because apparently YouTube don't like us anymore. They're not pushing us out. Every show now, the last 3-4 shows, we have had about 1,000 views, and they push us out to about 1,000 people. So usually they should do about 5,000 to 10,000, but they're not helping out. So whatever you can do, help out the channel. Yes, Stu, we have some new members. Do you care to read them out, because I'm not on my phone?
Let me get that up. You play the jingle, and I'll have them up in no time.
Thank you, my good old friend. This is members.
We have Faith T. Welcome, and he's already been in thanking DZ. DZ himself received a gift. Fantastic.
Wow.
He's a member. Dave147, the legend, and Luan France. So, DZ, thank you so much for that. As Jarvis says, memberships mean a great deal to the channel. Jarvis puts one hell of a lot of work in behind the scenes that you guys don't know. I have it very, very easy as his co-host. He does a lot of work for this channel, and he really deserves everything you guys do for him, because he's a smashing lad, knows everything there is to know about Manchester United, tons of football knowledge, and this channel wouldn't exist without him. So I'm the lucky one, guys. You guys are also lucky with Jarvis. So please smash a like, because he deserves every like.
Too much I'm just one of you guys, just trying to talk about Man United, and that's my passion, that's your passion, and that's why we are here to talk about our passion and hobby. That's Man United.
Yes.
I want to thank DC for gifting those memberships. Thank you. It's brilliant. It helps out the channel a lot. And Obi, I retweeted Jarvis and made my own tweet too. Thank you. And also, I think, who was it that also retweeted? I Am Titanium also shared. Thank you, I Am Titanium. You are a gem. New people tuning in. Shivram Kashyap coming in and say, hey, do you think we will bottle up this season out of City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal? Who do you think will bottle up this season? City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs, Aston Villa, Newcastle. So can we finish top 5 or top 4 if we get Baleba? That's a good question, Shivram.
The legend
let's
that is
answer the question before we go to this Rushmano.
And then we'll do Rushmano, yeah.
Yeah. But let's do the question first, and then we go to Rushmano. Bath time. What do you reckon?
Well, 2 parts of the question, isn't it? Like, Tottenham finished below us, so I wouldn't expect them to sort of hit the top 5. That would be, what would that be? That'd have to be a 14 places improvement. That sounds unlikely to me with Champions League as well. For us, I would be surprised and delighted if we got into the top 4 based off what I've seen last season. Even against like Fiorentina last week, I felt that despite the fact the Premier League starts a week before Serie A, our fitness didn't look up to it, and the fitness is going to be the only way I think that we can get this collection of players into the top 4 is if we've got them fit, and I don't think we have at the moment. So I would suspect us to be between 10th and 6th, depending on how much luck we get with injuries and decisions.
Just out of curiosity, why do you think we are not fit at the level we need to be right now? Is it because of preseason, or is it other things? Professionality from the players, or?
To be honest, I think quite a lot of it is genetics. Where, like, so with Amorim is Portuguese, and the Portuguese, like, their entire football culture, from like Ronaldo de Lo, all goes back to a man called Victor Frade, who was a sports scientist in Lisbon. And, you know, he's the one that influenced like Jose and all these people, and like training is the biggest part of their football culture. So there's absolutely no way that Amorim isn't going to be super prepared and zeroed in on it. But I think it's that, like, when you look at our players like Kobe's and Casemiro's, even when he's fit, someone like Martinez, they're not standout athletes. So I'm not sure that you can get them to the level of, for me, the acid test in the Premier League is if you can compete with Newcastle United. Like, you know, you look at someone like Dan Burn, who's a big tree, but you're going to have to do very well to win a header against him. He locked Anthony up in quite a lot of games. And then you've got that midfield to go against. And I don't think that our players have that kind of physical base in order to challenge. So I don't think it's a lack of will from the players. I don't think it's a lack of preparation. I just think it's poor recruitment and a poor you know, squad building. What do you think?
Interesting take. Actually, interesting take. But I'm not saying you're wrong. I think a lot of these players need to look at themselves. But as you said, it comes down to natural fitness from a lot of these guys. They're not the same type of athletes. You look at, as you said, Newcastle. You even had players like, now they sold him, but Longstaff, quite good. O'Linton, all of the Bruno Guimaraes, all the midfielders. What's his name? The guy who was suspended.
Tonali,
Tonali, yes. they are a level up when it comes to physicality, and I think this is where Man United are actually struggling. Stu, do you care to?
Look, I think Darius makes a really good point actually on that,
Yeah.
and it's one that gets missed. And there's a reason that PSG beat Tottenham tonight, and there's a reason that Palace beat Liverpool. Everybody is looking at the players that Liverpool have brought in, but if you watch the game on Sunday, you would have noticed that on 55, 60 minutes, Wirtz was fucked. So was Ekitike. You know, Kirkes. Now, Kirkes surprised me more than anything because he's obviously got Premier League experience. The one that wasn't, that maintained a level of fitness, was Frimpong. So what Darius is talking about, when you're looking at Kobe Mainoo, for example, it's being able to regulate your fitness throughout 90 minutes, which is the key element. And what I mean by that is cyclists do it all the time. So when cyclists are tired, they will go into a bunch scenario. And then the cyclists that may have etched out to the front always get drawn back because the pure power of the peloton drags them across. So you're actually able to save energy at the right time and expend energy at the right time when you need to.
It's like birds migrating, isn't it? You switch position, they all switch positions and so on. So it's like
exactly
recovery zones.
Yeah, and that's how it is. But as footballers, I have to do that at my age now, because if I don't, I'm not going to make 90 minutes. I have to do it. I have to understand at periods through the game when I need a rest. And I don't put myself in a position where I'm not ready to act when needed, but I take myself out of the equation so that I can get my energy back and I'm ready for the next phase of play. We don't do that enough. Some of the best players in the world, will get the ball and they'll start walking around in games and people say he's fucking lazy. He's not lazy. He's using his mental brain to keep himself fresh for 90 minutes. And we haven't, I agree with you 100%, Darius. We don't have that mentality within us to do it. You are right about certain areas. Dave Brailsford, it will take time for his, look, you need to be very, very careful about his.
It's about asthma.
Yeah, I know. We need to be. Yeah, it's the asthma thing, and we need to be very, very careful on that. So I'm not going to go down that line, but you will start to see us grow into it. Now, Fergie was very, very clear about this a lot of the time when he was saying he always seemed to start off slow because he used to train the players to kick in on game 3, 4, and 5 to where he wanted them to be. And Solskjaer himself, Ollie, said he used to train the players to be fitter towards the end of a match rather than beginning of the match. But you need to regulate your fitness from the start all the way to the end. So it's not easy, and it isn't easy. Anyone who plays five-a-side at any level will tell you that you've got to decide how you attack that game and when you can be at your utmost fittest, during that game. So that when you are making that run, that lung bursting run, that you're able to regulate your heart and get it back down so you can take all the air in your lungs that you need, so you're not expending too much energy. And I think Darius, that's a great point, mate. It's a really, really well thought out point.
It's a very old one, Stuart. Stu, because when there's been a couple of revolutions in the Premier League. Like you look at sort of Pep and Guardiola, but the original guy was Arsene Wenger, and I remember reading a lot about how he trained his team to run backwards because it used different parts of the muscle and allowed, obviously you still see the ball, which is very helpful if you're a footballer, but like running backwards, and it's about sort of conserving energy. And we even saw a couple of years ago, Southampton would regularly fake an injury on the 70th minute to get like caffeinated sweets and drinks in the players. And one thing that I think you can give Amorim a lot of credit for is with Ten Hag, we went off a cliff after 60 minutes. And towards the end of the season, I didn't feel that was happening anymore. But it's, what do you do with a player like Kobe Mainoo, who's, Scholesy didn't get into our team properly till he was 22. And Mainoo is 19. And he doesn't have like a man's body, as it were. Like, he's not an athlete yet. And so when you think about where we're going to finish and so on, if we can't get the physical fitness up, like mid-table at best.
It's an interesting point. I mean, look, I'm on the record, Darius, is saying we're going to finish on 66 points, which could lead us to top 5. I don't think we'll make top 4, but I don't think Chelsea will have the stellar season that people think. I think they'll be massively disjointed. I think they'll go through a real bad patch. And the reason I think we'll be in the top 5 is I don't anticipate Bournemouth to be as dangerous as they were last season, Brighton to be as dangerous as they were last season, Villa to be as dangerous as they were last season, Newcastle, although I agree with you, I think they're the fittest team out there for sure, to be as dangerous. Palace, I wasn't convinced. I had to change my tune because I thought they hung in brilliantly against Liverpool and outplayed them in parts of that match. So that could be a different one. But I do think you're not going to have, I don't think Forest will finish where they finished as well. I don't think you're going to have the abnormality really of teams finishing way above Manchester United. But does that take us to 5th? Time will tell. But I do take your point. Maybe Amorim's looking at it from an Ollie point of view, that maybe we start slow and we finish massively strong. I don't know, but it'd be interesting to see. But we'll know by game 3, really. On your point about Kobe, Darius, I mentioned a few weeks ago, I see him as an ideal 6 eventually. If he if he has the discipline, which I think he has, he can work on his tackling and his strength. I see him as an ideal 6, a real good ball playing 6.
But that's not his natural game, I would say, when it comes to Kobe Mainu. Not his natural game.
I would
always say that he's a number 10. End of, that's
he's
how we see.
He's between the lines player, Jarvis, isn't he? Like, I mean, maybe you're correct in terms of the. For example, Italians, one of the big sort of cultural differences between Italians and everyone else is that they put their best passer at number 6, which is why you have Tuso as an 8 and Pirlo as a 6. But the thing is it takes so long to learn how to play behind the ball correctly. And it's you've got to have huge amounts of experience to do it. And I'm not so sure about that. But in terms of your point about where we're going to finish, I think it's also important to take into consideration it's a World Cup year. And if teams feel that they're not really competing for anything, we've seen it for years, players kind of play it safe, try and avoid injuries and so on. And I think Newcastle is a wonderful example of a team that I expect, if they're not in any cups, to really, really fall off, because they're full of, everyone's an international there and so on. And I don't think that there's a lot of pressure on them and so on. I can see Newcastle being 8th or 9th. Same for Villa as well. If Ollie Watkins thinks, I'm going to be in the England squad and so on, and, Kane picks up an injury, you're not going to see him really competing right at the end, in my opinion. Nothing on him as a professional. Just more a human. They're all Luke Shaw's.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. Stu, let's go to the gifted membership.
Yes. All right.
Rush Mano, let me play a jingle. Thank you, Rush Mano. You are a legend, my good old friend.
So we have.
Yes. Thank you, Rush Mano, for the gifted membership. Stu, who do we have as new members of the Devilish Tacticos membership channel?
We have Mark C. He received a gift membership from Rush Mano.
Mark C.
Chet K. CHET space K. He also received a membership. Gary. Love that name, Gary. Received a membership. AJ. Received a membership, and Stephen Julian or Hooley received a gift membership.
Oh, good old Hooley coming in with a membership. Big up, Hooley.
Well, absolute legends. Rushmani, you're an absolute legend as well. Thank you all. Welcome to all new members. We hope you love this place as much as we all do.
Yes. And by the way, Routinator coming in and say 1.4k subs at the moment. And if this is your first time at Tactical Devils, please do us a favor and subscribe to the channel. We are on our way to 1,500 subscribers. Hopefully one day we will come to 2,000, but we never know. I'm grateful for the 1,400 we already got. You guys are the real deal. So thank you, Routinator, for reminding us and telling the viewers to subscribe to the channel. Yes, Tega DB coming in and say best soccer talk right now. Thank you, Tega. Thank you, Tega. It's good. Let's talk a little bit about Højlund and how do you see his situation going forward. The thing is, he's been. I don't know. Man United have been negotiating with AC Milan. We have bought Cesco in, and Højlund apparently wants to stay. He wants to fight for his place and prove everybody wrong that he's good enough and that he can actually do a job for Man United. So the thing is, now AC Milan has gone to an agreement, not officially, but according to sources, 6 million loan fee and a option to buy of 45 million pounds or euros, I believe. So where does it put Højlund? Because he's reluctant. He's torn. He says he's torn, and he feels that maybe the club is pushing him out. Man United are officially saying they're not pushing him out. It's up to Højlund, but obviously we are pushing him out as long as we are negotiating with AC Milan. We don't want him to stay if we want to negotiate with AC Milan. We would rather have the money at the current moment. So where do you put Højlund in all of this? What should his choice be of his future football career from now? What will be the wise move?
He's got to look at. I think he's been badly advised, Højlund. Whoever his agent is badly advising him. You're 21, 22 years of age. You've had 3 seasons where you haven't really set the world alight, albeit as struggling Manchester United. I think going back to Italy would be the best move for him and his career. It depends how big a career, how long a career he wants at the highest level. Because if you stay at Manchester United, you don't feature, you score 4 goals again next season, your value as a footballer in the overall market, it just decreases. And it would decrease a lot for Højlund. If you can get a deal at 6 million alone and 38 million, 40 million cash afterwards, even if it is only an option to buy, and he goes there to AC Milan, has a really good season, you're playing for a historic football club, some of the best footballers on the planet have played there, and you turn your career around or you stagnate. And Manchester United has this real problem with players that join us, don't offer any real value to the club, but of turning around and saying, well, I don't want to go, or I'm being forced out, or this or that. The club has to look back and go back to the days where we tell these players how it's going to be. We've got to send a message at some point to current and future players that come into our club. You can't come to Manchester United and decide what you want to do. We are the club. We will decide. And one of the best examples right now is Jack Grealish. 100 million.
Yep.
And Pep says, tough. You're going to Everton. He doesn't want to be at Everton. I don't care what he says. He does not want to be at Everton, Jack Grealish. That's the forcedest smile you've ever seen. He had to think of something to say, didn't he? Oh, I was an 18 because of Wayne Rooney. He had to think of something to say. And this is the problem. So Pep made the decision, you're gone. He could well have made the decision with Edison, you're gone. I'm going to have Donnarumma in, so you're gone. And Donnarumma was not a Pep type goalkeeper, we know all that, but he could make that decision. Isak is hoping for a similar decision, that he could walk all over Newcastle and walk down to Liverpool. You know, so for Højlund, his agents need to tell him and map out the next 5 years of his career, not the next 1 year or 2 years. If he stays at Manchester United or wallows on the bench and maybe gets 10 starts and 20 appearances throughout the season. Because don't forget, Jarvis, we've got a finite amount of games this year. Well, 38 Premier League games and whatever we've got in the Cups. However far we go in the Cups. So his game time is going to be dramatically reduced. He didn't spend a minute on the pitch against Fiorentina. So think of your career over the next 5 years and not the next 12 months trying to fight for your place, because you haven't demonstrated that fight. Now, in all fairness to him, he's had a decent pre-season, or had a decent pre-season. He hasn't featured really since they got back from the US. So if I was his advisor, I would be pushing that deal to AC Milan, and I'd be thinking everybody, well, I'm going on loan, have a stellar season for AC Milan, then reassess your Manchester United situation at the end of it.
Yeah, I think you make a brilliant point, and for me, when it comes to Højlund, if Man United are a serious club, I would say there's no room for sentiment. And if you want to create a competitive environment, there has to be a price if you're not good enough, and the price is you got to leave. You're not staying in this group of players. And for me, Højlund is not good enough, and he needs to move on. And force him out. Force the exit if necessary. That's just how I see it. So it concerns me a little bit when the reports say that Man United are not forcing him out, that we are actually giving him a choice, because I don't think that's the way to create a competitive environment. I think, okay, you have proven for us 2 years, you haven't scored enough goals, you haven't been consistent enough. Okay, there's talent there, but I don't see it. We don't have time. Man United, we move on faster than you do. So you got to find a new employer. Get out of here. That's how I see it.
Yeah, 100%, mate.
Darius, what's your thought?
I think I agree with you, Jarvis. I don't like. So first of all, Højlund's agency is SEC, which is run by Pep's brother and Erik ten Hag's brother, and he moved to that agency to force his move through in those crazy days when Ten Hag was the manager. But I think it's when you sort of compare him to people like Isaac and Grealish and so on, he's a good boy. He doesn't really cause any problems, does he? He had a bit of a dodgy thing on social media, but I think he's a nice boy. I think he trains hard. I think he does what his manager wants and stuff. And so I'd like to think he's deserving of a bit more respect than the sort of more mercenary players. But I think you hit the nail on the head, Jarvis, which is it's about time, because he reminds me a lot of Adamela Lookman, who was at Everton and Fulham, where I can see that there's a good player in Højlund. He's got all the gifts that you need. He just can't quite get it together. He doesn't understand, a lot of our players don't seem to appreciate the importance of what spaces you're occupying in a team. They appear to just sort of do what's on what's on your tactical board. For example, you stand here and you don't react to what's going on around you. Whereas someone like Haaland will, if you watch him closely, he just changes the angle of his hips when the ball goes to a different side. And he's making a decision about if he thinks he can bully the defender and get across him, or if he's going to position offset in the blind side and attack the space. And Højlund isn't Rasmus Højlund isn't at this level yet for that kind of spatial understanding. And I think he'll get there eventually. But to be a Manchester United forward, you can't be a project. If you're the number 9, you've got to be out there doing it. You've got to be the outlet to the team. Relieve pressure, and it's even tiny little things drive me mad about him, such as how dreadful he is as the first post on the corner. He is have you noticed that they use him as a blocker, where he's always wrestling with someone, as opposed to being that kind of Didier Drogba role of where you put the person who's the best technical header at the near post, because that actually leads to transition situations. So I think, like, with the best of wishes, send him off to Italy, one of the best places to learn how to play your trade as a striker. And I wish him all the best in his career, but it won't be at Manchester United.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, that's the thing, and the verdict is in, it's not good enough. And as Stu said, Manchester City move players on without hesitation. So, let's just be as ruthless as City. That's how a big club operates. Not saying that Manchester City is a big club, but if you want to be the best, you got to act like the best. So that's just how I feel. But as Jarle Van Veen came in and said, Rúben and the club has said that Rasmus won't play more this season. So that is the same as forcing him out of the club. So I don't know how we are going to do it even more unpleasant for the players, because why do we always have to give all these players who fail a chance to redeem themselves? I don't feel that's how a good big club moves. Look at Liverpool, look at City, look at Real Madrid, Barcelona. You don't get many chances. You either sink or swim. That's how everything rolls. So that's just how I see it. But if you can strike a deal with AC Milan, would you guys be happy with a loan deal, 6 million, and maybe a option to buy 45 million? Is that a reasonable price?
I think it's all you're going to get for him. I don't think you can accept or expect anything north of 50. It's just not there anymore, is it? So, yeah, I think it's a good deal all around. I really do. I think it'd be great for him, great for the club if we can get the option. If he goes and scores 30 goals, who knows where it'll take him. But we can't afford to have a passenger as a number 9 anymore. It can't be done. We just don't score enough goals. So, yeah, it's the right move, unfortunately.
Yeah. But we seem to have a lot of players. And as Catherine McDade say, Sancho is taking a piss now, lads. And the update on Jadon Sancho is that he just refused an offer from Besiktas. Same again, the bomb squad are refusing to leave. And, I think they are too comfortable at Man United. They don't feel the pressure to leave. It doesn't matter if you win or lose as long as they stay and collect their salary and I don't know, sponsor deals and followers on Instagram and all the fame and fortune that follows with being a Man United player. So they seem to cling on to I don't know what to call it, the X factor that Man United have, and they won't leave. They're like the Wolf of Wall Street, Leonardo DiCaprio saying, "I'm not fucking leaving." At the end of the
we need them to be more like Nick Cage, who will say yes to any role. Yeah. Like they're acting like they're Daniel Day-Lewis and waiting for that magical film. But yeah, I kind of agree, Jarvis. I feel that what's happened is we've got a bunch of role players in, a bunch of sort of Dungeons and Dragons players or something like that, who are very, very happy to wear the coat and the clothes and the garments of a Manchester United player. But they don't understand that this club is kind of built on a covenant between the fans and the players, and you need to go and give everything on the pitch and we'll look after you. Like earlier on, you were talking about this isn't a club for redemption and stuff, and I was thinking about Eric Cantona and how he was kicked out of France and kicked out of Crystal Palace and stuff, but because he had the values.
Wednesday wasn't it? Wednesday, then Leeds come to us and kicked out of Palace. literally kicked out of Palace. Yeah,
but he embodied what we love. There was we understood what Eric was, and I think with someone like Sancho, it's like he's had the world on a plate since probably since he was 13 down in Watford or something like that, and I blame a lot of this, bizarrely, on Louis van Gaal, to be honest. I think that when he came to the club and gutted all of the Fergie players, he removed a lot of culture from the dressing room with, the Fabio and Raphael and Welbeck and so on. And Sancho, he came in and he just wasn't up for the fight, like Donny van de Beek or something. And the fact that that he's like sort of turning his nose up at clubs that, you know, I know we don't like Graham Souness as United fans, but he's generally one of the best players that Britain has produced. And he went out and played in Greece, and my namesake, Darius Vassell, went out and played there. So why can't Sancho go and play there? And the reason is he doesn't like football.
Yeah.
And we've got to be much more careful with our recruitment and get more players that are dedicated and all these things, rather than a man who plays like he doesn't want to get his boots dirty.
Well, you're right, actually, Darius, because, you know, we've all been very, very critical of Rashford. He said he wanted to go to Barcelona. He got his move to Barcelona. He will most definitely succeed at Barcelona. He's already doing very, very well. And he will play for England in the World Cup next year. Garnacho will not play for Argentina. Sancho will not play for England. Now, I don't understand what goes through the mind of a footballer that is not interested in representing his country at the greatest tournament on earth. It astounds me. I just don't get it. I really don't get it. If England over 60s phoned me up tomorrow and said, we've got a game against Wales in Leicester, will you come down and play? I'd be there. I'd be in my car down to fucking Leicester, and I would play.
You would be too young.
No, well, you can play from 55, but yeah, you know, my point there, 50s, 55s, 60s. But my point being, you get that call, you're just there, aren't you? You go. You know, Garnacho has tasted international football, but he will not, if he sits on his arse like he's threatening, and quite frankly, I'd fucking knock him on his arse if I was in that dressing room. But anyway, that was a different point. Then what aspirations do you have as a footballer to not go and represent your country at the World Cup in America, wearing the colours of Argentina? Jadon Sancho was an England international 2 and a bit years ago. Rashford has got himself back into the England squad, and he knows that I've got to be playing regular to make sure I get a seat on that plane. I've got the utmost respect for that. I really do. Whether we like Rashford or not, I've got the utmost respect for a player that wants to perform at the highest level. So I think Darius is right. Sancho just doesn't like football.
Sorry, Stu. What would, like, if you had to give a counter argument to what you've just said about a player who doesn't want to represent his country, like what would you think might be the reasons why?
It's, for me, it's pure laziness and an absolute lack of ambition, but most importantly, complacency in your life. So you get up, you made the point about he probably gets up in the morning in his 10-bedroom mansion. He decides what car he's going to go. I don't have to be at training until 12 when everybody's gone. And he's complacent in everything that he does. He's complacent because he's got a chef to cook his dinner, his lunch, his tea. His wife or his girlfriend probably picks around for him. He's got everything he wants. He has done for him. He doesn't understand the reality of life like you, me, and Jarvis. And when you get to that stage of complacency in life, it affects everything you do every day. Now, it's easy for me, and I get this, by the way, everybody. I really do get this. It's easy for me to turn around and have a pop at him and make a statement that he doesn't want to play football or he doesn't want to play for England, because you, Darius, Jarvis, would jump at the chance to represent England and Norway. We would absolutely jump at the chance. We would crawl across America to play.
I think the proof in the pudding, Stuart, is that, like, you know, I'm looking at 40 and it's very scary, and I'm still playing I'm still playing football with 18-year-olds, and you're a little bit past that, but you're still playing football week in, week out, because you have like a love for the game and everything, like, you know, the smell of like new boots and like the banter in the dressing room and the whole thing.
Absolutely.
I think with our front line that we had, it's always puzzled me. Martial Rashford, Sancho. That's the most introverted front line I can think of in football. Like, none of them have the like what you'd think is the character to be a Manchester United forward. Like, all sort of living within themselves. But at the same time, like, when you talk about like representing your country and things, I think if you're not playing, or you're not a first teamer, and you're going away for a tournament for 6 weeks, and you're just sitting about, just on the sidelines doing nothing, I can understand that, because we would all leave our clubs to go and play for a club where we got regular game time. So if you're not getting regular game time at the international level, I do have a bit of sympathy for players that don't go to that, because they're missing out on like their kids growing up and so on. And I like, there are some things that I can get behind, and I can get behind that. But on paper, obviously, all of us would do a Teddy Butcher for, England, Scotland, Norway, so on. We'd bleed for the badge and things. But I just, like, the definition of a narcissist is someone who wants unwarranted status. And I think that's what Sancho kind of wants. He's like a footballer who just wants to be a footballer without playing. And that's our fault, not his.
I mean, you make a good point about going away to international tournaments, and Magnifico says the same about Højlund. If he wants to stay and fight for his place, does he really care about going to the World Cup with Denmark? I would question that as well. I guess the beauty of life and football and everyone, the Devilish Tacticos, myself, Darius, and Jarvis, is we all think differently, and I love that about human beings. We have the freedom and the wisdom to come to our own opinion and articulate our opinion the way that we feel is the right way. And I love football. I'm like you, Darius. I am 55, and on a Wednesday night, I am still chasing around the odd 18-year-old. Well, actually, I'm kicking them, if I'm being honest with you. But because I can't get close to them anymore. But I still love to test myself against that type of play, like you. I love to test myself against him, and if he beats me for pace, so be it, But I'm on there doing what I do. On the weekend, when I'm playing over 55s, honestly, it reminds me, Darius, of when I was 9 and 10 again. You're right, going into the dressing room. All right, getting absolutely ribbed. You're fucking shooting last week. You need fucking, and all of that. You go into training, all of that. I've got my own favourite number that I wear. Jarvis will tell you I won't wear anything other than number 8. That's number 8. Yeah, it's my number. I won't wear anything else. I do certain things. Jarvis will tell you I carry 4 pairs of boots with me to every game, 2 pairs of shin pads, etc., etc. Because I've done all of that.
Grip socks.
Yeah, grip socks. I've done it all for years, Darius.
I think that's what sets your channel apart, is that, like, I think it's very sort of easy to, say, I had a knee injury, I would have been pro, and all, the sort of stereotypical stuff. But it's never underestimate an old man in a young man's game, as it were. And you should always think of the people that go out and play football week in, week out are the ones that, for me, you always want to listen to, because they'll understand like why a long throw is one of the most beautiful things in football, and stuff like that. But in terms of like the Sancho stuff, it's almost heartbreaking to me that a Manchester United player doesn't want to play football.
Yeah,
like Wayne Rooney, when he was at Everton before he came to us, I believe that David Moyes was like having to drag him off the streets. A Premier League footballer was going out and playing with his mates, and Rashford did the same thing, I think, after he scored against Mitchell. And what we've got to do is we've got to identify people that like have this ability to love football in them and get them into the football club, because like it's I always think back to the COVID season, and when those players had absolutely nothing to do but play football, they were fantastic. They were unbelievable. And then football starts, society starts back up again, and we see them being dreadful. And we need players that are just focused and obsessed the way that we've been in our lives with football to represent us, because I'm fairly sure that like anyone here would say, you know, I'd work on my left foot. I'd go and practice headers and things like that. And I just wish that these players had that kind of Ronaldo mentality. And it's only really Delot who appears to have that. And that is the fault, in my opinion, of Louis van Gaal.
So another great point, because I said to Jarvis, last year, Jarvis, we were talking about Rashford or somebody. And I said to Jarvis, I said, I'd love to sit Rashford down and ask him what the 8-year-old would be telling him today. The 8-year-old that couldn't wait to get home from school, get that ball out of his bag, kick it against the wall by himself, or run off with his mates down the park, waiting for his mum to call him in at 7 o'clock. Where are you? You know, you're still out. 2 more minutes, Mum. 5 more minutes, Mum. Where is that person? How does it drain out of a professional footballer? That love of the sport that drove them to want to be constantly.
Do you think, Stuart, that it might be because they're now providing for their family and things, and they think that that's enough? Like they've got their mum into a house, like, you know, they're giving their brother a job, sending their cousin to university or something. And like, I'm not. I'm going to say that I think that is success. To be honest, like it isn't for us as football fans, but for someone like Rashford to take his family out of whether long sight or something, like, or within short, like maybe he thinks that's it. And with me, I think that Rashford just needed a change of scenery. To be honest, like the relationship with the fans got broken, and if you've seen what Anthony has done in La Liga, wait till Rashford with like Pedri and Gavi. I'm sure that he's gonna be a massive success out there, and I really wish him the best, because players like him and McTominay going and doing what McTominay's done in Italy, I think that it gives encouragement, like a sort of role model to the rest of them, that there is a life outside of Manchester United and they can go and, become Ballon d'Or candidates and stuff like that. But I just wish we had that culture in the club of it's not okay to walk. It's not okay to be late. And maybe it's Maguire, maybe it's Bruno, maybe they are poor captains, but I think that a lot of the time we think that discipline should come from the manager, and I think it should come from the individual and the players, because otherwise, like if you treat adults like children, you can't expect them to perform like men, and that's one thing that I hate about all of this. What do you think, Jarvis?
Yeah, I think you make a really, really good point. And when I read the comments, I see that, for example, Stephen Julian Hooley coming in and say, people make me laugh. Would you leave your job with a year left to go to another job with half the wages? So why do we expect Sancho to do so? And, that's a fair point. That's a counter argument of what we are talking about. But I also feel that, if it was me and if I had some ambitions in my life, even though wages is a lot, if you make up to a certain point, it's not everything. And you want to build a career longer than the next year. And I think he's putting himself as a troublemaker. And I think in the long run, people wouldn't dare to touch him because of this. They will be afraid to sign him. And, when I talk about Sancho, I feel that he has lost his drive, and Stu mentioned the word that I like, complacent. And I think that's the right word, because his ambition, they vanished the moment he tasted success, and everything came, I would say, too easy for him, when he went to Dortmund. He forced his way out of City. He went abroad. He went to Germany. He succeeded, but he never had to push himself. He just floated along on an immense talent. That guy is super talented. He can do stuff with the ball that no one else can do. And now he ended up as a washed up player at a really young age, And he's been a constant thorn in Man United's side, Instead of playing the victim and blaming everybody else, he should have looked himself in the mirror and taken responsibility and put in the hard work required to turn things around, but he didn't. So for me, that's the biggest disappointment with Sancho. You know, it was his career, but he he wasted it, pissed it away, and now he sits on the bench, rejecting clubs from Turkey. And he was one of the biggest talents in the world at one moment. So, you know, it's almost a shame. But Man United will move on with or without him, you know.
Yeah. Well, we'll only have 12 months, won't we, after the season to put up with it. But I agree with you. You're talking about personal pride. You know, if you can't have pride in yourself, if you can't look at yourself in the mirror with pride, then, well, that's always a bad...
Like, it's the Chelsea thing, Stu. Like, they paid $5 million not to take him, and do you know what? I just can't imagine what that is like. I mean, imagine like the club that you play for, like Tipton Town. You find out that they're like basically paying 50 quid to get rid of you.
Yeah, I'd be embarrassed. I'd just be embarrassed. Terrible. It
Don't
really
say that to Jarvis.
We have a new subscriber, huge.
Really
nice.
Huge. Hugh.
Yeah.
Hugh. No, Hugh.
Hugh, yes.
I think it's Hugh, yes. I think it's a silent J. Who knows? Anyway, Hugh. Pause. Jas. Great to have you. Thank you. I do like that one. do like that one.
Brilliant name.
Blazing.
Brilliant name.
I think he's new to the channel as well. I don't think. Have we seen Blazing Zari before?
No, that's a new name. Big up, Blazing Zari. Good to see you.
Yeah, absolutely welcome. I like it. I want no excuses this season. We got to slap teams up, make a statement with wins. Where teams are battering. Absolutely, pal. You are more than welcome to this channel, my mate. More than welcome. Hey, Tara. Thank you.
Therapy coming in. Therapy.
We need a new subscriber jingle, Jarvis. New subscriber jingle. What you should do is give the new subscribers the... Oh, you haven't got it with you, have you yet?
No, I don't have it. Dude.
I can't do it. I can't do it anyway. Hey, Tara, welcome. Welcome
Someone
all.
clip this.
Yeah.
Two madmen sitting there and whistling with their fingers.
Definitely two madmen. Matthew. I'm one for butchering names, fellas, so I do apologise. We live in a snowflake society. You can't say boo to anyone anymore. Well, you are not wrong, my friend. No. You are not wrong.
But just to finish off on the Sancho debate, you know, I'm not ignorant. I know we have all read the rumors about Sancho, his upbringing, what happened, you know, and he has had a lot of struggles. Not saying everything he did was okay, but you know, we are all humans. It's not always easy, but I wish that he would one day wake up and start realizing that he needs to do something, not for us, not for Man United, but for himself, to be the talent that to fulfill his destiny as a player, I would say. Yeah. So let's just move on to the next subject. You mentioned Garnacho, so we're not going to talk about Garnacho. But this another one of the bomb squad that left to Barcelona, and there were some I would say an interview came out with Sancho, with Rashford, and I found this on our good old friends All for United. They have a YouTube channel, so X channel. And Rashford came out and said, we have been well below where United should be. And people say we've been in transition for years. But to be in transition, you have to start it first. And the real transition hasn't even begun. To start a transition, you need to set the plan and stick to it. We have had so many managers, ideas, and strategies for winning that we ended up at a standstill. Does it hurt? Yes, 100%, but not just as a player, also as a fan. Is criticizing Man United's willingness to sack managers maybe a little bit too easy? And this is from my textbook, Longevity. I would have stuck with both Jose Mourinho, Ole, and even Ten Hag a little bit longer, just to see it through at least 3 seasons before I made up my judgment. bad time. Do you think Rashford has a point in what he's saying?
Yes, but context matters. Like,
Okay.
I think that like what Rashford is sort of talking about is maybe not necessarily the sacking of the manager, because I love Ollie. Like, I love him with all my heart and stuff, but he unfortunately had to go at that moment. Like, the project was over. I think what Rashford really means is that the styles changed too much between, like,
Okay.
it was, you've gone from Ten Hag and his whatever he was doing to a guy who's playing three at the back, and it doesn't feel joined up at all. Like, so I understand what he means, but he also like has to kind of take the blame in some ways, because a lot of these systems were kind of set up for him, and sometimes he wanted to be a number 9, sometimes he wanted to be like a sort of a goal scoring winger, and he might be looking at players like Salah and thinking, "God, that looks good, doesn't it? I'd like to be doing that." But unfortunately, I always think back to the Villarreal performance from Marcus Rashford, and it is unquestionably the worst performance I've seen in a final from a Manchester United player of his quality. And I think Rashford is a nice lad, but he's like a sidekick or something like that. Like, he needs someone around him to do the dirty work, as it were. And I don't know, like, Jarvis, do you think that this is kind of what people want to hear? Like, that this is PR or something? Because we saw Rashford's performances, and we know what he's good at, and we know what he's not good at. And Stuart earlier was talking about conserving energy for the right moment and so on, and Rashford was doing all of that. But I think that he was part of the problem myself, because he got, better performances, and he would have got a lot of those managers' trophies.
Yeah, I think you make a point. Yes, Stu, please.
I was going to say, actually, about Darius, you're talking about the PR side of it. 100% accurate there, because it was a very well articulated response to a question that would have been vetted before it was shot. See, what happens when you get somebody like Rashford in, the questions are vetted by his agents and other people around him, clubs-wise. And everything that he said was, context is the bigger thing, because I think he was right in what he said, and I think it was designed to the casual fan to be able to agree with what he says. So he's almost having a pop at Manchester United, he's almost having a pop at the Glazers. But again, when you look at it and you really open up what he's trying to say is, there is no responsibility that he's taken as a player. So he's right that there has been too many inconsistencies from manager to manager, coach to coach, too many different systems and styles that he couldn't quite get to grips with, and all the other players, etc. What's interesting was, though, that he never once spoke about his inability and the players' inability to buy into the systems that the managers wanted. Now, if you listen to Jose Mourinho, who's just done a similar interviews as recently, he come out and said, I should have followed Fergie. I was expecting to follow Fergie. He's made it abundantly clear for a while now. He will not having to go at David Moyes. He doesn't think David Moyes is a bad manager. He was expecting to follow Fergie. That was the right transition. For whatever reason, it didn't happen. And then players themselves then just got away with certain things, weren't able to adapt. And I've always said, and this is just my opinion because it's just the way that I view football, that when you're on that pitch, you have to have an ability to identify scenarios that are evolving that you haven't even spoken about in the dressing room. You've got to understand what's going on ahead of you. And if you don't follow your own instincts and you follow everything the manager says to the letter of the law, which we have seen, guys, we've all seen that, then that's where problems occur. And I famously always go back to, Darius, I don't know whether you know this, you probably do, but I've always famously go back to the first time Ten Hag beat Pep. And we changed it up. Do you remember? We played a lot more long balls rather than playing it through the middle. And, we were 2-0 up at half time, and Pep was up in arms, having to go at the fourth official, having to go at everybody. You can't fucking do this. You hold on. You always play this particular system. What the hell are you doing? You didn't have to leave if you could play a different system. And I call it going rogue, Darius. And then what happened in the second half? Reverted to type, and we lost the second half 1-0. And that's how we beat them in the FA Cup, because we changed the system, and you couldn't get to grips with it, Pep. And so players can adjust. Players don't go into a meeting and look at a tactics board and not understand it. They understand it because the pitch hasn't changed in 100 years. The size of the football hasn't changed in 100 years. It's been 11v11 for over 100 years. Nothing's changed. So there's only a finite way you can do
the
on the football.
offside rule has changed a lot of times in the game. Tremendous.
The interpretation of the offside rule.
The interpretation.
The offside rule hasn't changed.
The interpretation.
Well, it depends.
But
2 men, 3 men, how many men is offside? So, well, that's another discussion. But that's why the first game, England-Scotland, I think Scotland played 1-1-9 and England played 1-0-10 or something, formation-wise. Yeah.
But that's
like 1890, though.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the interesting thing. And, when you analyse football and you look at it over the years, Guardiola wasn't the first to do a false 9. We all know that. Brazil in the 70s did a false 9. Pele wasn't exactly your typical 9, was he?
Was it Puskás who was like one of the first?
He was one of the very first. You're absolutely right, Darius. He was one of the very first. So that is nothing new. And so,
what's interesting, Stuart, about what you're saying here is something that I believe.
I'm going.
No. I think it's something that United struggle with a lot, and a lot of football struggles with, is that when I first started playing serious football, 14, 15, when it becomes a bit more important and things, I always played in 4-3-3s. I've never received any coaching in a 4-4-2, and I sort of, when I watch highlights, see it on television, I'm really struck about how it's 3 partnerships: the strikers, the midfield, and the defenders, and how Ince and Keane, in my opinion, back then were not defensive players. They were more kind of box to box players, but they had to build this relationship of who sits in, who goes, all these different things, and it's about reacting to what's going on the pitch. So when you talk about how Ten Hag outwitted Pep, as it were, we've seen, Fergie did this as well, we've seen absolutely crazy selections in finals, with idea, I think, being that footballers now don't have that old, how do you put it, that where they can solve a problem. Because of game models and coaching and tactics. And Jarvis, you say a lot of the time the players don't understand the system, or paraphrased, as it were. If the opposition do something completely unexpected, the players now find it so difficult to break from their system to solve a problem. And most of the time, when we talk about how someone out-tacticked someone else, it's mainly about someone's just gone into a different position that they normally play, and they've got a bit more space. And
100%.
For people of our kind of age, Stuart, I think that a lot of the time you just want to be annoying on a football pitch. You want to go somewhere where the other, as a centre back, if someone starts just going in an annoying position, do you break your structure to go and look after him? Is he hurting you too much there? Is he hurting in between the lines and things like that? And I think that what we don't do now in terms of coaching is we don't give players the tools to be able to go and solve problems, and we don't expect them to solve problems. And this is one of the big problems I have with Manchester United is Casemiro and so on. I think they know how to solve a problem, but they're not allowed to because of this obsession with occupying spaces and, you know, being able to sort of run about and things. And I think it's really sad that that's gone out of football, the ability to improvise, as it were. So I'm fully agree with you that if you want to win a football match, don't do tactics. Just put players in places and see how they react.
You know, you're right. Me and Jarvis talk about it all the time. When Jarvis does his clips, he'll talk about a piece of the action he wants to talk about, and I'm looking at something completely different. I'm understanding what he's saying, and then I'll say to Jarvis, "Yeah, but did you notice?" And Jarvis goes, "Yeah," and that's because I understand what it's like to be on there, and you're absolutely right. You know, when you're talking about do you follow a striker in 10 yards? No, but would you follow him in 2 yards? No, you wouldn't. You'd wait to see what he does for a split second. Does he go out 2 yards, go right? Does he go left? And then you make your determination based on that. You know,
it's contextual, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And again, I don't want to go back to City, actually, but it was a really interesting point I noticed on their last training session. Cherky hadn't run back, or he was holding position or something, and Guardiola went absolutely berserk at him. I didn't say you could stand there. I wanted you here. But actually, if Cherky had stayed where he would have, he'd have intercepted the pass. But he had to go do what Guardiola did. There's only a small thing I noticed, but we do something similar. So when Jarvis is talking about the tactical elements of the game, certainly when we were looking at Gyökeres in the summer, and well, anyway, let's not go into it, but Jarvis was explaining to me how Gyökeres fitted into the Amorim system, and I'm saying I totally agree with that, but I want him on the fucking penalty spot where he should be, you know, waiting for the cross.
I think the dynamic that works really well between you two is that, like, you're probably a bit more like me, Stu, where it's about the pragmatic realities of a situation. And Jarvis, you're more about like the sort of like the systematic beauty of what should be happening. And what, like, you study the game like really well and so on, and you understand the importance of structure, and you understand the kind of motivation behind what the coach wants. But I tend more with Stu, where I think that like the manager's not out there on the pitch with you. You, with your teammates, have to solve a problem, and you also have to create a problem for the other team. And the more we see like this kind of homogenous system of football, the less, we see things. If you can just give me a minute or two on this is something that I really, really like, is that now there's a lot of apathy around football. And I think it's down to cultural stuff, where if you take Brazil and you take Italy as an example, Italy, perfect, Jarvis, right? So we'll start off with Joga Bonito. Like, Brazil have produced players that we recognize as Brazilian, like Ronaldinho, even Neymar, and so on. But a lot of that is due to the history of the country, where back in the day, like 1890s or whatever, black players weren't allowed to play. And when they were allowed to play, any physical contact was always given to the white guys, more European guys. So Brazil had to develop a style where their dribblers made absolutely no contact with the man. So you think of like Garrincha and stuff, the step overs, the body feints. And then, more than that, like the way that we expect a Brazilian team to play is based on, they had a dictatorship, like a junta, where they wanted big physical players, all this kind of stuff. And then the win in 1970 kind of took everything away from that. It was a victory for Joga Bonito and that history of like jinky players and things like that. And then go across to Italy. the most invaded nation in Europe, like a country that needs to maximize its resources and has to like look at collectivism over individualism, over being individuals. And what did they come up with, Stu? Catenaccio, like a +1 at the back, a defensive formation. And all of this, right, is something that the people can relate to. Now with Manchester United, like for me, it's flair on the wings and an attacking mentality.
Yeah,
you know, for you or or like players like Robson and Keane, these box-to-box warriors, and all of that has gone out of football. It's all turning into the same thing. Brighton played the same way as Aston Villa, and I hate it because I don't think that we can connect with it, like from like our our history, as it were. And I'd love to get a Manchester United manager in that understood that and wasn't obsessed with UEFA B licenses and what they've been taught and so on. And I look at what Pep is doing at City. He's got a target man in Haaland. He's got a shot stopper now in Donnarumma, and he's got a traditional winner in Cherki. And maybe things can turn around because everyone follows Pep.
Seems to be that way, doesn't it? You are right about the Brazil of the 70s, though. When you look at certain nations, you look at Brazil as the romance, don't you? The romantic style of football. You look at the Italians as the workhorses of football. We were just the beer drinkers in the 70s. And my favourite team of the 70s, Argentina, and Jarvis's favourite player of the 70s and 80s, Maradona. They were at the particular time, they were the movie stars of football. The flowing locks with Kempes, and actually a pair of his football boots came up on an old Facebook post the other day, and I was drooling at them. Oh my God, the Pumas that Kempes used to wear, and the tango football, and all the romance that was around with the '78 World Cup. And the guys are right. Naz makes a great point. When you look at yesteryear to today and at the evolution of football, it's not really the evolution of football, it's the evolution of technology, actually. It's all it really is. Better kits, better balls, better boots, better playing surface, and all of that. The actual concept of football is the same. To score a goal, believe it or not, you got to use your feet 70 years ago. You've got to use your feet today, and you'll still need to use your feet in 10 years and 15 years' time. So looking at what Pep is doing, he's trying to reorganise the way that City play. We should maybe look at it from a different point of view and say, all right, lads, is the coaching on getting UEFA B, UEFA A, C, super license, what's it telling me as a manager? What's it telling you as footballers? Because, Darius, I would love to know, really, really would love to know why a central defender of Maguire's standing in the game doesn't know how to defend a corner today. He's been defending corners all his career. Why can't he defend them today? And although you learn different aspects of the game and you learn different skills and you learn how to understand different characteristics, flight of the football, etc., why do you need a throwing coach or a defensive coach or a striker coach? I find it all a little bit too much for me. So I am quite simple, Darius. You're absolutely right, mate.
Yeah, I think you make a brilliant debate, and it's almost like I'm sitting here just learning, listening to you, Darius, and then Stu. It's brilliant. Well, the matter of the fact is, I read somewhere that the speed of the game has increased by 20% since the last 5 years. We talked about this, and it affects how you play the game, because everybody runs more and the teams are more compact all the time. So you got to be able to play out, because you will always, if you snooze, you lose. You only have like half a second, 1 second to play the transitions. And you have to give it full pace. If you jog, you lose. You have to sprint with the ball because you don't have time, because everything goes quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker. And I think this is also why the evolution of football is going the way it is. And right now, okay, we have numbers. Everybody's hung up in the 3-4-2-1 or 3-4-3-3, 4-4-2, but it doesn't actually really matter. It's about your instructions, what to do. If the ball is up in zone 18, zone 16, zone 14, where are you standing? Where are you going to be? And you have to move your legs, and it's always expected to track back, give everything in every duel. It's not on chance. It's everything is into details, written down and trained and drilled into these players. And also this is why it takes more time. And as we started with this, it's about longevity. And Rashford came with actually, I like that comment. They changed it up too much. And Starius and Stu was saying, I think we need to give Amorim. This is why I think we need to give Amorim time, even though we maybe if we're not succeeding this season, we can't be out with the knives and start talking about sacking him. We gotta give him time. Coming in 7th, 8th, 9th, maybe the 3-4-2-1 system needs more time. Maybe Amorim needs more time to succeed, because I don't think it's the right move to go back to start the process all over again. Even though we have footballing people in place now, and we have versatile players that actually can play several systems, but it doesn't even matter for me. I'm not a big Amorim fan per se, but I just think we need to follow it through and for once follow it through. Let's give him 3 to 5 years, just see how it goes, because I'm sick of it. I'm sick of sacking managers, starting over. I'm sick of the rebuild. I'm sick of waiting for next season. I'm just want to be done with it. Give it the time it needed, and then we can assess.
Sean, just a quick one, Jarvis, to your point about the speed of the game.
Yeah.
Sean made a great point. Your brain, your thoughts, got to be even quicker. And that's a really good point. And modern day players just don't have that. Well, I'm not talking Manchester United. I'm talking across the board. They just don't have that ability to make a single touch and spin and gone. The interesting thing about the game, and if you look at Ronaldo when he was 16, 17, he wasn't particularly quick. He didn't have that 10-yard burst of speed. He actually hired a sprint coach to help him with that area of his game.
Yeah.
Michael Owen had that burst of speed, but because he didn't hire a coach to regulate him, to help regulate him, it wouldn't allow him. He was always having issues with his hamstrings, so his hamstrings would never be the same because he didn't have that knowledge around him to protect him.
Giggs
had the same thing with hamstrings. Yeah. I mean, they identified as super impreza being a big issue. The clutch was too.
Yeah.
Jarvis, can I just ask you a question about? I agree with you about I'm sick of this cycle of sacking people and so on. Under what circumstances would you sack Amorim?
If he wore a Man City shirt out public or something like that, outrageous. No, but don't get me wrong. We can't accept losing 15, 20 games in a row. And coming in relegation zone. But we need to see some progress. We need to see some glimpses of hope. In all of this. But let's say first season of Jurgen Klopp, second season. Even though they didn't qualify for the Champions League, they actually played some rock and roll football, heavy metal football, as they call it. Everybody on Anfield could see what he was building, and I think this is what we need. We need to see something. And
do you see that from Amorim?
No, not yet. No, not yet. But it's too soon to judge. I gotta give him more time. But we have seen glimpses now in the friendlies. We saw it against West Ham. We saw especially against Bournemouth. We could see the transition football, the 1-2s, the triangles actually working, the diamonds actually working, the number 10s dropping down. So I'm starting to see patterns. But I just hope they can be consistent.
I think a real target man's going to make a big difference to us. I'm massively looking forward to watching Cesco play. I mean, by the time Jarvis will tell you, Osherman would have been my favoured forward. I know there's always been issues with Osimhen, etc., but some of the best players are absolute wankers, in person, aren't they? But I'd love to see what Cesco does. Time will tell on that one. But I did say, Darius, I think we'll win the first game against the Gunners, and I stand by that. So fingers crossed.
I hope so. I mean, like, when you look at our stats, and like, stats are not really facts, to be honest. They're an interpretation, the way that they're presented in football. But we had the most ball recoveries in the Premier League last season. And you would think that would mean that we would be fantastic at transitions and so on. We had a hell of a lot of carries as well, like in particular Amad and Garnacho. It feels like there's a basis there to sort of do something, but I think having a target man makes a huge difference, because it's things like second ball structures that matter so much. Is that if you know that your target man is going to give the centre backs a problem, you can get players in between the lines to kind of recycle those things and lead on. And like a lot of people, Jarvis, I'm sure you've seen this, like how do you break down a low block? A lot of the time you can do it with a counter press. Like that's a lot of what Liverpool does. And a lot of the time, look at Harry Maguire heading goals in and stuff. Just having a big lump who can jump more than the other players can do it. Like football's not particularly complicated. Most things are pretty simple in principle, but just extremely difficult to to execute and so on. And I really, before I judge Amorim, I think I need to see him with Cesco. Like we've seen Rasmus Højlund, and he's a good lad, but he's not fit for purpose. And last season our attack was Amad, Bruno, and Cesco. I will give way.
Yeah, no, I honestly, I think that's right. So time will tell, won't it? But I would give Amorim a bit of latitude as well. So, Meeks, thank you so much.
Meeks, thank you. We have a super chat coming in, $4.99 from the one and only Meeks Football. So, guys, if you haven't, go subscribe to his channel. It's a brilliant channel. Breaks down football tactics. I learn a lot watching his channel, and great guy, Meeks. I wish you can come on. He says, I wish it was Friday so I can be home to join you guys and defend the need for a coach for a different aspect. Also, Amorim isn't the issue, as Jarvis said. So thank you, Meeks, for agreeing with me. Let me just play the super chat jingle for you, my good old friend.
Yes, the old super chats. So Meeks, you are welcome on any time.
Always.
Yeah, you know your stuff. So we were great, and it'd be a good debate to have on that. Talking of legends, Jarvis, a legend has arrived.
Hello.
Hello, Dominic.
How are you, pal?
I'm very well, thank you. Looking forward to the new season and everything, and thanks for having me on again.
You're more than welcome, fella. People like you. They
thank you.
When's Johnny come over? I always say never. He's never coming on. And no, John, we love you, and Devon Stacey love you as well, mate. You've got a wealth of knowledge, pal. Wealth of knowledge.
Thank
welcome.
you. Yeah. Yeah, so
Johnny, I don't know if you listened in on our debate now latest on Amorim and his tactics. What do we need to see for him not getting sacked next season? And do you have anything to add?
So unfortunately, I haven't caught the last 15 minutes or so, but regards Amorim's tactics, I think you saw in parts in pre-season. You saw a little bit of areas where we need to improve in balls. So you saw potential for some of the some partnerships might develop. So, for example, Ahmad and then Mbeumo, that link up might work, going forwards. I did think, well, obviously Højlund's likely to go, when you have a number 9 at the front connecting everything, we look better when Højlund played up top as opposed to someone like Mason Mount and that kind of thing. So you got to improve the connections and the relationships with people. With us not being in Europe, that will allow us to build partnerships in training, get used to each other's playing styles, and hopefully be fresh when it comes to games on the weekend. Obviously, results are the most important thing. When you look back at last season, 42 points was bad, 44 goals scored. But when you looked at some of the actual performances, in some games we perhaps weren't as bad as the results suggested. So I think of Wolves at home, for example, and Forest away, even Anfield, games which we played relatively well in, but couldn't score or didn't get the win. I think with our improved front line, if we play to that level with better players playing in those positions, hopefully we'll win a few more games now. But Amorim, what he does about the midfield, obviously we got to talk about Baleba and everything, but the midfield partnership is going to be critical to how we dominate games. At times it works, like with Ugarte and Menu, who in a couple of games, someone like Casemiro, I wouldn't be starting in most games this season, but that midfield partnership, how you dominate games, that's going to be a test to see how we overall do. And I will finally add, I think the games I'm looking to see the most improvement, we talk about the tough start. We got Chelsea, City, Arsenal, Liverpool first 10 games. For me, that's not really the true acid test. The acid test is after the 10-game mark, which will be around November time in the lead up to Christmas, when on paper you'd say we'd have easier fixtures. The problem last season wasn't against the big teams. It was against the teams like Wolves, like West Ham, like Forest, like Brentford. I want to see how we do in those games, because if we start winning those games, we play a lot more of those games than we do against Arsenal, Chelsea, and Liverpool. That's where we need to win. That's where the last 2 seasons we haven't won enough games. If we do that this season, we will improve. That's the acid test against those teams from middle to lower end of the table. That's where we need to improve this season.
Well said. Well said. So we start to need winning against the mid team, mid league tables and bottom half of the table. So I agree, but I think this is where we struggle, because I think we have lacked the quality needed. Right now we have brought in 3 attackers. We are looking at a Baleba signing, a midfielder coming in. The asking price is apparently 120 million euros, 104 million pounds, according to a lot of journalists. And someone said Brighton are not looking to sell, but apparently they're willing to negotiate. So I don't know what to read from that, but I think if you read between the lines, there is a possibility for a deal to be made. So guys, how do you see this Baleba thing? Do you think he will come in if we manage to sign him and actually strengthen our team? And what would be the expectation from the Man United fan base if we could land a player like Baleba? He's been talked about like he was the chosen one, the one who can come in midfield. And do you think it could be like the Ronaldo signing? You remember the 3rd season of Summer of Ole? We signed Varane, we signed Sancho, we signed Ronaldo, a lot of big name coming in, but didn't go well. Could this be turned the other way?
Well,
Darius?
personally, I think that this will absolutely happen because Jim Ratcliffe did not buy Manchester United to sign Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He bought it to sign the best players in the world, as it were. I think what is more interesting to me is you talked about getting Ronaldo, Sancho, Varane in. It was unbelievable. That Newcastle game was pure euphoria. Yeah. But the problem with it, right, is does the team not work because of individual quality? That to me is the big thing. I think it's a system error. I think that playing two in midfield is absolutely ridiculous in the modern. Like, you're going to be outnumbered in every single game. Like, I know that he's like Jarvis, like he's basically setting up a rest defense.
Number 10 drops down, so we actually play a 4-man box midfield now with proper number 10s. Just saying.
Yeah, it's a shortcut in my opinion. Yeah. Like, football is more fluid than this, but it really comes down to, like, John. Lovely to meet you, Mr. Camoes. But
yeah. Thank you.
You can call me Darius, by the way. Like, I just call myself Bath Time because it amuses me to get grown men to call me Bath Time. But you were talking about the front line, like, and there's no doubt we've upped the quality, but is it player quality that is holding us back, or are there deeper issues? And that is my concern, because when Jarvis brings up all those great players we got in, the team actually got worse. Like with Ronaldo and with Varane and with Sancho. And they see on paper they're much better players. So what's the problem? Is it individuals or is it the system? And to me, it's the execution of the system that is the real problem. Having said that, tactics are nowhere near as important as having the best players.
I'm kind of sitting on the fence with this one, because I look, one season in the Premier League, 100 million, I don't buy that. I just don't buy that. That's just Brighton being morons. But Brighton can get it. You know, they can do it. I'm kind of with Darius on this one, because
yes, you.
I am, and I'll tell you why. Because, you know, can you play him as a 6? Not particularly, because we know he's a progressive footballer. And we know he can tackle, he can header, but he's got great feet. He's got great strides. When he moves with the ball, he's running, you know, not quicker than anybody else, but further than anybody else because of his fucking stride pattern. So he eats up the ground quicker, but not in pace, but just in stride. And that's brilliant for us. Jarvis is right. We've got the 2 10s that can come in. We know that Cunha will take the ball from deep. We know that Mbeumo will take the ball from deep, and there is a coverage there that we can use. But I think if you bring in Baleba, I don't think you can play Bruno. And that's my issue and my dilemma.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've got a strong enough 6 at this point in time to really cope with that. So that's where I'm with it. Will I pay 104 million for him? Absolutely not. I've seen Mr. B saying that, you know, we do installments, which is more debt to the club. He's absolutely right. So I just, and I'm with, by the way, Mr. POTUS, 5,000 on this, and Jarvis, how many times have I told you? And I said the word, and John, you know this, a player is nowhere near worth 100 million. I've said it for years. I just don't agree with that. So should we be going in and going for him? Yes. Should we be paying 100 million? No. But I'm with you, Bartom, on this. I think it happens. But I think Bruno could be the casualty, in my opinion. Unless you miraculously turn Bruno, or you say to Baleba, you are in as a 6, and I don't want you to play your natural game, which we spoke about this, then what do you do with him? So Steph's right, by the way. Bruno is, he's a luxury forward. He doesn't get in ahead of Mbeumo, does he? Cunha and Cesco. So that's my dilemma. I don't know where he fits, where Bruno fits if Baleba comes in. Johnny, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a real quandary. I think, regards to Baleba, he's only a young player. I would stress caution also that, he is a young player, and if we do sign him, playing for Brighton is very different from playing with Manchester United. So I don't think you can expect him to save our midfield or our team, straight away. That's it'll certainly improve our midfield, and I think he is the kind of player which has the potential to drive us up the league. But I don't think you can simply say one player will solve all the midfield issues. And he's a young player as well. It'll take time to settle, even though he has a year's experience or 2 years' experience in the Premier League. As for whether the deal will happen, I've got a feeling it probably will, but I don't think we can afford it at this moment. But I think a lot of it depends on the money we raise, particularly Garnacho. If I were United, if you're going to want him desperately, whatever money you get for Garnacho, whether it's 35, 40 million, I would put that as the down payment on Baleba and try and agree a deal. I know it's going to be a lot, but this is something we might have to consider if we're going to get him. I think also that the issue with Bruno is, I do wonder that there are rumours circulating behind the scenes whether the club asked him to stay another year and then possibly go next summer. So is it a way of, we've been too reliant for him for years, and maybe this season, if it is to be his last, he'll be a starter to begin with, and then maybe towards the end he might slowly be eased out if we're looking to sell him next summer, because apparently that might be an agreement they had with the club. So they're going to Saudi this summer. So I think that might be something to potentially keep an eye on.
I 100%, like 1 billion% believe that. I think that one thing that should have shaken up football was what West Ham did with Declan Rice, where they basically spent the money for Rice before Rice came and went and gave West Ham fans.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it was better than Man City's treble that season, West Ham winning the league. And I think you're completely correct that we are spending the Bruno money already. And let's say we do get Champions League, which is worth about 100 million, then we don't need to sell him because, correct me if I'm wrong, but Cunha counts for the last 3 years rather than this year.
Cunha's money was last financial year. So effectively, the money we've spent this year is just Mbeumo and Cesco. So, and I think maybe that's why we'll look to Baleba, because they probably agree with Bruno. You must join Saudi June next year. So
just a short point, Johnny. And I did mention this the other night. You don't get him this summer. Probably you don't get him.
Yeah.
Baleba.
Yeah. I think
like,
we've got
like Euro.
Yeah, I think we got one shot at him, and it's this summer because we're the only team in for him. When you look at all the top clubs around, they're all stacked in that position, aren't they? We're not. We're the only club in for him. So I think that is,
I quite rate it because what we're basically doing is other clubs are extremely well run and plan their transfers like a year or two in advance, and we're just like crashing about, like trying to sign these players. But my biggest issue with Baleba is that like we've all seen the highlights and stuff, but he has one attribute to me that is absolutely world class, like the best that I've seen in football. Is we've all seen him carrying the ball, but have you seen the weight of pass after he's carried? It's absolutely elite. Like it's unbelievable. And I wonder if our midfield is set up to allow Baleba to carry into the final third and release the ball. That's my big issue with it, to be honest, because there's no player in that Manchester United team that I think we maximise.
Yeah, good point. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I think Darius makes a brilliant point when it comes to this, because it's all about timing and rhythm and how is actually, as I never thought about this, how is Baleba going to carry the ball while Cunha is dropping down? Where is the release going to happen? How is he going to execute itself? And it will take time and drilling to get it right. And it's not an automatic that Baleba will come in and every engine will fire at once, So it will be a difficult thing. And the other thing, as you said, Stu, or was it Johnny K who said who is going to be the number 8 and who is going to be the number 6 if you always play with Bruno? It's so complicated. And but by the way, there were some updates coming out now. On Baleba, I'm just going to show it to further the debate, and it says that the Carlos Baleba alternatives identified by Manchester United. So apparently, they are saying Adam Wharton is number 2. So it's a non-news update, but he's an alternative, and I see Adam Wharton more. Isn't he more of a number 8? No, a number 6.
He's more of a 6 than anything.
A number 6. I was going to say. So that would actually be a more sensible signing into this system if we have Bruno.
Do you think so? Like Wharton for the under-21s plays with my favourite player, which is Elliot Anderson, who is, if you haven't seen him, is basically Conor Gallagher. A lot of running about. At Palace, he's got Will Hughes next to him to do all his running about. If you drop Wharton into our midfield, you don't get anywhere. You don't get the best out of him, because he needs like henchmen or bodyguards around him to help him out, as it were. Like the Baleba, 60% dual rate. Like he has the most carries for a deep lying player in the Premier League. Like Stuart, you're completely right. They're so different. It's like the difference between, I don't know, Tony Cruz with Wharton and Iniesta with Baleba. Like it shows to me a complete lack of joined up thinking. You should be looking at that boy at Southampton, like Mateus something.
What's his name? I know you. Yeah, what's his name?
Is it Mateo Fernandes? He was a Chilean player about 20 years ago. Like
I know, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
he's a good player, isn't he?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I can't think of his name. Johnny, come on, Johnny K, you're the encyclopedia.
I can't remember. Sorry. No, that was.
By the way, before you answer that, you know the Wharton thing, Jarvis. You do realise he won't come on the market until next year, and there'll just be a road of clubs after Wharton.
Yeah,
a load of them.
And you also have the British tax. So you're probably talking about more. If you set the standard now with Baleba 100 million, Wharton will be 120, 30.
Ridiculous.
This is where I'm wondering whether behind the scenes, no one's reports this, but I wonder if you get Baleba this season, this summer, hopefully get Champions League this season. We go for Wharton next summer.
Wow.
Bruno off to Saudi before the financial year.
It could be a dream thing. The thing about Baleba, by the way, is I think he'll be more disciplined than Bruno in the 8. And he won't, I'm hoping. And he won't occupy the deep position that Cunha will take, and maybe the deep position that Mbeumo will take. I think he'll be a bit more sensible and creative, but I could be wrong.
But I agree with that, Stu. Right. It worries me about Ahmad and Mbeumo, to be honest, that they obviously like the same kind of spaces. And
my mate picked that up. My old mate picked that up, didn't you, Jarvis? He picked that up the other day.
What did you think, Jarvis?
We have talked about it since we were linked to because we looked at the heat maps. They are similar players. Mbeumo and Ahmad. So it
I
doesn't
don't like
take much
Ahmad
to
as a
understand.
player. Like, I think Ahmad, like, he annoys me because I don't think he has a feel for the game of football. Like, he plays so slowly, and his release of pass is really, really slow. I think that when you look back, like Johnny was earlier talking about great results that we had last season, and there was a consistent thing with those great results, which is that we had Mazraoui as left wing back and we had Delô as right wing back.
Yeah.
I think that like Ahmad will get phased out for Mbeumo like this season, and Delô will take that right back spot, because I'm absolutely sick of seeing Yoro, who is, in my opinion, beyond green. Like, he's so inexperienced at top level football, being tasked as the main progressor out of defence in our build up, passing it to a winger who's playing at right fullback with no pass inside. And I've got a feeling that Ahmad will be out by Christmas.
It's an interesting take. It really is. I mean, Jarvis made a point when we were linked with Mbeumo, Darius, that he could see Mbeumo as right wing back. That was the point that Jarvis was making, and I kind of, I didn't scoff at it, did I? But I had a bit of a giggle, didn't I? And then he showed me and he demonstrated what he was talking about, and I'm like, fuck me, yeah, I get it, I can see it. You're talking about energy.
And he's a better crosser than Ahmad.
Yeah.
So it would make more sense in a way if you're going to pair those two. You play Ahmad in the 10 and then Mbeumo in the wing back role. I don't know, John. Okay, you agree or?
Yeah, I think it depends on how you want to set up. Like, if you want to go more attacking, you probably play Ahmad. If you want,
but you have Cesco as number 9 and 6'5". You want those crosses to come in.
So I think Cesco, the way Mbeumo was whipping in those balls on Saturday, wasn't it? I mean, imagine if Cesco's playing in that game, he probably gets one. I mean, well, he is good at heading the ball, Cesco. So if I was Amorim, I know you've shown graphs of him at Leipzig where he's not always in the danger zone, but I've been watching some videos of him. When he does get in those areas, he's a very good header of the ball. So if I'm Amorim, I'd be telling him, play on the last defender. We got Mbeumo whipping those crosses in. You can be there on the end of them to, head them home and everything. So, I think Mbeumo, I wouldn't put it past him to be maybe the lead assist maker this season. I think he might have or at least create the most chances possibly. So I think he's someone to look out for. But as for Ahmad, I think the main issue with Ahmad is fitness, because usually he does miss a part of the season with injury. So I think
your main issue with him,
because he missed 3 months last season. He missed the start of the previous season. Was out till Christmas.
He's picked up a couple of injuries, hasn't he?
When he was at Sunderland, he came off before 70 minutes in about 90% of the matches he played. But I have a bigger issue with Ahmad, which is like a more kind of technical thing, which is like, Stuart, you'll be able to help me out here. When you're in a wide area, that is exactly who I'm talking about. I did play football with him, actually. When you're in a wide area and you're defending against a cross, I think this is a basic, but when you go to block the cross, you stamp your foot. You don't wave it out, you stamp your foot, because if you chop, you then push off that foot to be able to stop it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ahmad, how many times have you seen him going like an ejector seat, both feet off the ground, sliding through as a player chops back in? Like, every team will be looking at Ahmad as our big weakness in that area. Bryan Mbeumo will be a better defender than Ahmad, and this isn't a diss on Ahmad. He's a beautiful aesthetic player, But you don't like if you want to play Ahmad, play him as a number 10 with a runner. He doesn't work with Bruno because Bruno doesn't run. He won't work with Cunha because Cunha doesn't run. Cunha is between the lines. He's the table for third man combinations, Jarvis, isn't he? He's going to like play that pass. If he can't get on the half turn, he'll drop it to someone. I think that the problem is it's not about the quality of the player. It's about what the player is good at. And I've heard your take before, Stu, about playing Lisandro Martinez as a left wing back.
Yeah,
I understand it, but to me, Manchester United wide players are the flair players, and it's not Lisandro Martinez and Diego.
Yeah, no, that's true. It is true. We've been brought up, haven't we, with flair wingers? You know, Kanchelskis, Koppel, Gordon Hill, Giggsy, Beckham. No, I get that. I understand.
Luke Chadwick. I like him as a player.
It's all right, Luke. It's okay.
Yeah, I think he was a good player. He had an awful time.
Keith Gillespie.
Keith Gillespie. Wow. Thank you, Andy Cole. I do like Bryan Mbeumo as a wide player for Manchester United. Like, even if that's at right wing back, Jarvis, I think that fits with our team. But the big problem is, as Stu brought up earlier, is what do you do with Bruno Fernandes? Because I don't think you can have Fred and McTominay doing the work of three men in the Premier League anymore. I don't think you can get two players that can do that, what they used to do. And Bruno was best when he was a second striker in a transition-based attack. He'll get you Champions League doing that. If you put him at number 6, tasked with progressing the ball like a more Italian player, you're going to finish mid-table at best. Like, and also when Johnny was talking about he thinks that Mbeumo will create more chances. The thing that like I'll give you a sort of evidence for that is Mbeumo is on like our right-sided corners, and you always put your best ball striker like on corners. That's kind of like almost a scouting short tip. If you see someone who takes corners, they're normally the best striker of the ball in a team. And I think it's absolutely fantastic that we're moving away from Bruno's set pieces, because the last one I can remember is Anthony Martial against Man City, which was just improvisation. A little like Koeman, just a little flick. But I think that's a really good point, because I would love to see us move away from Bruno as the main creator. I think that there's too much emphasis on him to make things happen, and everyone is just sitting around waiting for him to get on the ball. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to chuck a tiny conspiracy theory in here. I don't think Cunha likes playing with Bruno.
Why?
I just look at the body language of Cunha when Bruno's around him, and Bruno doesn't look for him. Darius, I don't know if you've noticed. Me and Jarvis picked this up in the first couple of games. Bruno was reluctant to pass to him, and I just get the impression he's hugely frustrated with Bruno currently. There's a bit of friction there for me.
Right. So I've only seen the Fiorentina game, and on another channel I used to be on, a Wolves fan came in and talked about what it was like watching Cunha in the little games, and he said that like he sat there waving his arms about, standing in space, wanting the ball without working, and I was like, oh, you know, the last thing Manchester United need is a player that doesn't work. So I watched him in those games, and I'm a huge fan of old-fashioned box-to-box midfielders that run in between the centre-back and the full-back, like astute, like channel runs are an absolute nightmare as a defender to deal with. And I like players that don't touch the ball too much because they're creating space by running those areas. I saw Cunha doing that over and over again. And the thing is, it's okay not to give, like Jarvis, I think you brought up an example with your video of Dorgu passing the ball to Cunha who had made a channel run, but don't give him the ball there. Like, unless you think he can win a penalty, don't give him
It was the third man run, obviously, to open up the space, but Dorgu didn't see it.
He didn't.
Yeah, or he didn't understand the situation. I think it's because that third man run, as you call it, essentially it vacates the half space, and access to the half space means that, like, essentially what it means is that you're at a really annoying angle for the defense, and someone has to break their position.
With 4 guys, you are in the middle of 4 guys.
Yeah,
so
the line. Someone's got to break the structure to go and deal with you, or you get a free cross into the box. And I wonder, Stu, if it's actually not so much that he doesn't like playing with Bruno, is that he doesn't want to play that role of the sacrificial runner.
Yeah, could be. It could be. See, I saw him at Ipswich last year. I took my nephew. I came back raving about him, didn't I, Jarvis? Absolutely raving about him. I said,
you did.
His ball carrying ability, his box to box ability was. I said to Jarvis on the show that night, on the Sunday night, and this is where I started about buying local, wasn't it? I just started. We must get Cunha. Jarvis's wine. I explained, and Devilish Tacticos were kind of agree, but maybe not. He's not for us. But the Cunha that I saw that day, the Cunha that destroyed us as well, by the way, when he scored that goal, was everything we needed. And I just think that Bruno's stifling that at the moment, but actually it could well be what you're talking about. He doesn't want to play that third wheel, so to speak, in that element. And maybe taking Bruno out of the equation releases the beast that we need. I don't know. It's a difficult one, isn't it?
And this is where it goes into the thought about Amorim, where he's got a big decision to make. Is he capable of dropping Bruno if it suits the team? This is where, if people are looking at whether he'll keep his job, whether he'll be sacked, I think the way he manages Bruno Fernandes could be critical. I'm not saying Bruno should be out of the team. There'll be times when you do need Bruno on the pitch, but I think, does he have the guts to say, Bruno, I'm dropping you? If it's not beneficial for the team, that's what you've got, what I'll be measuring him on. Because if he is going in the year, you're going to have to play Manu sometimes. If that's the person they're identifying as his replacement, you got to be able to learn to play without him. And how he manages it will be important, I think.
Johnny, if you spend 100 million quid on Baleba, he's got to play. He has to play. Simple as.
And you kind of spent 100 million on Bruno as well.
You paid 70 plus million on Cesco. You paid 60 plus million on Cunha and Mbeumo. They have to play as well.
I agree.
And there's no Europe, which complicates it further.
There's no way. I mean,
Sorry, Stu, go ahead.
No, I was just talking about. I was just going to add very, very quickly to Johnny K. The game time this year isn't there. We were talking about a variety of different players who probably aren't going to see more than 20 games worth of action over the year, are they? We play Grimsby in the next round of the Carabao Cup. Grimsby. Now, we know that if you and I tell you now, guys, mark my words on this one. If you are turning out in the first 11 at Grimsby, okay, in a few weeks' time, or whenever it is, then you know your pecking order within that unit. Within that
take it.
Players, you will know where you are. If you're at Grimsby, you're not in the first 11. You just aren't. You know,
this is my problem with. I know a lot of people have said. We're set up well this season because we don't have like European games. I'm actually quite concerned about this because I think it's really important to have loads of games, give players opportunity and keep the competition up. I don't think that, like, I mean, I'm very odd in this sense that I enjoy training as much as a football match because I like getting better. But for most football, 99% of footballers would much rather play a football game than do training. And I kind of agree, Johnny. It's with Bruno. I think he's still our best player.
Oh, yes.
But I don't think he's used properly. I don't think any of them are used properly, with maybe the exception of Harry Maguire, because he's got, shout out to Tyrone, he's got like players around him in a back three, but every team's played a back three for 20 years in possession. I'm really, really concerned that we're not set up for anyone. And in some ways, we've got a £100 million player in Bruno. And we're playing him at number 6. We've signed Mbeumo for 70 million. Jarvis wants him at right wing back. We've got Cunha for 65 million or whatever, and we're getting him to like run channels. And we've got Cesco for 70 million. I've never seen him play. I'm a bit concerned that there doesn't appear to be any thinking behind our transfer strategy. Like Baleba and Wharton, completely different players. What's going on?
Yeah.
Well, time will tell. Jarvis, we're on 2 hours and 10 minutes, pal.
Yes, guys, it's been a brilliant show. So interesting. Just sitting here listening to you guys, I really enjoyed it. I hope that you, as a viewer, enjoyed the show. Before we end the show, I just want a quick take because there's been some updates on sponsorships. Coca-Cola, apparently. Coca-Cola. Coke. Officially, Coca-Cola has signed a 3-year deal with Manchester United to become their new carbonated soft drink partner, or carbonated acid with sugar, as I like to call it.
Which we knew last week. Good
days are here, or good days are coming, as Amorim is saying on Old Trafford in the final day of the season. Is this good news? Is this
it's brilliant, Jarvis?
Amazing.
Amazing. Do you notice it says carbonated soft drink? It gives us the opportunity to get a non-carbonated soft drink in as a partner. Who's going to unleash Coke? We need someone to help. Unbelievable.
That is unbelievable. Do you know the interesting thing though? Sir Jim, with his ribbon cutting thing, he mentioned Coca-Cola and Manchester United and Apple, I believe, in the same sentence as brands. And then lo and behold, a week later, Coca-Cola's. That is a real eye opener, and that will scare most football clubs in the world. I mean, Coke are massive. I mean, you can't underestimate how big
they are. Has it been specified how much?
They haven't said, have they?
So, and I wonder whether we'll get further sponsorship in regards to who will sponsor the new training ground or new training complex. I'm sure that's going to happen soon.
Yeah,
I can't wait till we get our goal celebration sponsored. Like in, Maguire going, maybe I was born with it. Maybe it's the Maybelline. Would be absolutely incredible.
Or we unveil Baleba and he comes in a Coke jacket. Something like that.
They open a can of Coke.
Yeah,
great. It's a little short.
A can of Coke, yeah.
It's like if imagine it, let's say if Apple or Tesla get sponsors or something, you can imagine like Liverpool sitting that just being like, what the shit?
The training complex. Oh, great!
Yes. Brilliant. And if we're on the rise, they know we're it. If our team, as I think will happen, if our team continues to improve and we keep getting these sponsorships, then they might as well retire and go home. That is so.
I don't know how much it's worth, but I can't imagine it'd be worth any more than 30 million a year, would it, lads?
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, it's
I don't know. When Ronaldo, like, do you remember, like, at some football tournament, Ronaldo went no coke, like,
it was the World Cup, wasn't it? It was the World Cup.
It knocked a wild amount of money off the share.
Yeah.
Like, maybe.
Well, they'll make up for it now with this United sponsorship.
Well, to be fair, I think they own Smart Water, don't they? Don't they own Smart Water or something like that? So I mean, they can push a variety of different brands through the club, can't they? But aren't they? Don't Man United want to do like a pop-up bar on game weekends or something? I think Coke are heavily involved in that. They'll supply the
samples.
Yeah, stuff like that. It's great for the club.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's been divulged the amount of money. I'd love to know what it is. I mean, if United just screwed 100 million a year out of Coke, fucking hell, to be carbonated for wow, hats off to you guys. I don't care who you are, hats off, brilliant. I'd love them to sponsor us. There's a big Coke bottle down the centre of the ship, exploding or something like that. It'd be brilliant.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see in the days to come, weeks to come, if we get more information about this sponsor deal and how much money we actually are talking about. Well, it could be huge, could be just medium. I don't know. Are they going to be branded on our training shirts, or, as you said, training facilities?
I don't know.
Who knows?
Could be the biggest names in the world, Jarvis. Like I think it could be more than 30 million. Coca-Cola, Manchester United.
I know.
Those are massive.
It's like, crazy, isn't
it? We just need Apple now, don't we?
If you went up Mount Everest, you'd meet a Yeti that knows Coca-Cola and Manchester United.
It's correct. It's true. Yeah. I mean, dude, years ago,
that you can speak to a camel in the desert and then not.
Millions would turn up and go, I think Rasmus Højlund is rubbish, as they open a can of Coke. Like massive brands. I can't imagine that it's a small deal.
Have a Coke and a smile. That's
the way it's been advertised. The fact they haven't specified how much it is means it's probably quite substantial, isn't it?
I thought it was quite interesting. Nobody saw it coming. Oh, that's brilliant. And they announced it, by the way, on the day when the Premier League is launched in Liverpool. Man United announced we're sponsored by Coke. Brilliant.
Did you see the Premier League Indian page? That they said that the 2 days to go to Premier League season and they got an Arsenal player pointed at number 2. I thought that's brilliant.
Darius, this question is for you from Mr. Potus 5000. He said, "What's your transfer fee to move to this channel?" What are we talking about? We haven't discussed the terms, but
do you?
Yeah.
I can't say that.
This is just a trial. We haven't put anything on the paper.
Let's all have a bath together. No.
I only got a Snickers bar, Darius. So you know, we're not gonna go to a flake.
I'm not going to shame anyone for their size or their purchases, Stu.
No, we're not going to go to a flake. I don't think. Are we, Jarvis? Can we afford a flake?
I see what you've done there. Very, very good. Just a milk tray. Shout out the United agenda. I hope that they're all doing very well, particularly Amonde and Mr. B.
Yes. United agenda. Good guys. Great channel. Enjoy it. I haven't seen you around lately, Darius. So you left. Okay, so you're on via free transfer at the moment.
Free transfer. Yeah.
Okay, so guys, after the show, go in the non-live section. Tell us, should they be invite Darius again on this channel? And the same goes with the Johnny Commode.
He's a legend. Johnny K's in. He shoehorned himself in weeks ago. He's fine.
Yes. Yeah, it's all about the collaborations, you know, and friends of the channel coming on, you know, and try to give you footballing knowledge and a good footballing debate. And this is what we do on Tactical Devils. We like to talk football on a highly nerdy level, but hopefully you enjoy it. I think we have been going on for way too long. We have 2 hours, 19 minutes. It's bedtime half an hour ago. So I think it's time to wrap it up. We didn't get to talk about the Donnarumma thing. We didn't get to talk about Anthony, that Man United have slashed the price from 50 to 30 million. We didn't get to talk about other midfielders we could sign, like Mamadou Sangare. Cheers up to Sean from United versus Everyone who mentioned this player, and Gabriel Sara of Galatasaray. But we can talk about this on the next one. So guys, girls, everybody, DJ Superfly Guy, Tyrone Williams, Mr. Potus 5000, Dave 147, and the madness coming in with all his positivity. Love the comments and the madness. Jules coming in from Red Devils United. And all of you others, the super chats, the memberships we got. Rushmano gifted 5 memberships. Obi, 6 months member. DC gifted 5 Tactical Devils memberships. Same with Rushmano. And Semik's coming in with a great super chat. Go subscribe to Semik's Football Great channel if you haven't seen it. So thank you, Johnny, for coming on. Thank you, Darius, for coming on.
Yes.
Thank you, Stu, for fighting the virus, the flu, whatever, and staying on with us for 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Really enjoyed it, guys. Really enjoyed it. Great to have you on, Darius. Great to work with you, mate. Johnny K, as always, and my old mate looking suave, sophisticated, and tanned up there in Greece.
Enjoying the sun in Greece. And tomorrow morning we're going with the kids to the big city, doing some shopping, and it will be a good day. Yeah. So enjoying, looking forward to that. But we have an early start, so it's time to wrap up the show. Jem's coming in with the night all. Good to see you, James. Good to see you, and all the other ones. If you haven't, please do us a favor now and smash the like. And if this was your first time on the Tactical Devils experience, please subscribe to the channel and leave a comment in the non-live section after the show. It always helps out the algorithms.
Thank you, DJ.
No, we'll be back. Where are we? Sunday, won't we? Back Sunday. No, tomorrow night. Might be tricky. It's Friday or Saturday, maybe.
Saturday's a no-go for me, but we can do Friday.
We'll do Friday night, guys. Just watch out for any notification. I've completely, because we do Monday normally, I'm lost track of time.
After Bournemouth get a stunning result at Anfield.
Yeah,
and the Liverpool game is on Friday night. I think it starts. Is it 8:00 UK?
It's 8 o'clock, isn't it?
Yeah, so we will probably be on after the Liverpool game sometime, maybe 10, maybe 11. We will see. But it's been a great show. It's been very interesting. Boxing Straight Talk and the madness. Lou en France. Yes, I'm in Greece at the moment, but I will be back home in Norway on Sunday evening. So. Back to the regular schedule.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you on the next. Have a good one, and bye.